I'm Jonathan Goldstein, and you're listening to Wiretap on CBC Radio 1 and Sirius XM. Today's episode, This Magic Moment. What is it about the pursuit of a perfect moment that can so inflame our passions? The hours-long wait will endure for a 2-minute amusement park ride. The massive hangover will suffer all day for just a few hours of nighttime fun. In today's show, we'll explore the great lengths that people go to achieve perfection, even if it lasts no longer than the blink of an eye. And to start us off, here's BJ Novak with a story about what happens when you grab hold of such a grand moment and hold it up to scrutiny.
I never want to walk on the moon. Just because so few people have ever done it, people assume it's this great thing they should be jealous of and should want to do too. But is it that great? Let's break it down. Here is what actually happens. You go into a space capsule, very cramped. It takes 3 or 4 days just to get there. Days. Then, you're still in the capsule for 6 hours waiting to get out. Can you imagine taking a flight that lasts 3 to 4 days? And then when you finally get there, somebody tells you, sorry, we have to wait another 6 hours to deplane? Those 6 hours probably feel even longer than the rest of the flight. You also have to wear this unbelievably heavy suit and helmet the whole time. If you don't, you die. Finally, you get out, ready to stretch your legs and go on this amazing walk, and you can barely move. After all that, have you seen video of these guys? They're plodding forward, bobbing up and down with almost no gravity, like slowly floating their way to the next step more than walking. Then, hope you liked your moonwalk, because it's going to take another 3 to 4 days just to get back. And even though it's the same length of time, it probably feels even longer because you've already done the fun part. I am a pretty serious walker. It is my main form of both exercise and recreation, and I know of at least a dozen walks within 15 minutes of my front door that make for a better walking experience on every single level. They don't require space suits or 8 full days away from your loved ones. You don't have asteroids flying at your spaceship. Just a bunch of beautiful, beautiful paths where you'll see parents pushing little kids in strollers and bigger kids playing on bikes and big wheels. Some of those bigger kids might even be dreaming of becoming astronauts someday. You know what? Let them. The only area I can think of where the moon experience might have any edge at all over the walking trails of Knox County, Tennessee, would be in the symbolism department, in the sheer majesty of it all. When you think about how the moon is a celestial phenomenon that has dominated the nights of humans since before humans were even humans, a place so foreign to our understanding that, until recently in the history of our species, people didn't even think of it as a place or even an object, but as an abstraction tied to God. A place that is still, even now that we do understand it, so alien to our everyday thinking that it is never included on any of our maps or globes and can only be reached by a dangerous voyage across hundreds of thousands of miles of literal, actual nothingness. And to know that you have been there and stood on that rock god place with your own 2 feet and kicked the dust and moved it a little and come back home with the story to tell. And then, no matter where you are in life, to be able to always look down at those 10 little toes that carry you through your house or the hallways of your job or around the same walking path you've been walking for years that you still love in a way, even though somehow, at some point, its loveliness lost its dust of luster in your eyes. To know that no matter where you are, no matter how dull the favorite colors of your life become, you can always look down at those 10 little toes and think about how they have been with you to a place that almost no one alive can imagine and no one dead could have conceived of. And then someday, when you're about to die yourself, and you're scared, at least you know you've already been somewhere mysterious. That's honestly all I can come up with, pro-moon-wise. To each his own, I suppose.
Saturday, early evening. I'm in the kitchen leaning against my refrigerator and eating M&Ms from my bathrobe pocket. It is during this moment of pure bliss that the phone rings. It's Josh, calling to see if I want to go out. Loud music, I say, overpriced drinks, and possibly being put in a situation where I've no choice but to high-five a drunkard on the street? Not for me. But Josh is persistent.
You're coming out, okay?
Out
there is a great big world. It's exciting. It's vibrant. There are people.
I'm very comfortable. I'm in for the evening.
You're in for the evening? What are you, 97? You got your curlers in. You got your dentures out. Look, you're not an old man, okay? You look like an old man. You act like an old man. But you're not actually that old. You can still come out on the town. John, I'm going to be at O'Malley's. It's walking distance from your apartment. Come on.
Listen, I'm settled in.
You're settled in, but you're not 6 feet under.
It's just so loud.
Of course it's loud. You don't want to be able to think.
Do it.
Do it.
What?
Do the job. Do it. Do the job. Do it.
You think that's going...
Do the job.
I'm not going to...
Do it.
That's
do it. Do the job.
You're not...
Do it.
Could you please stop doing that?
Do it. This is what it means to be human, to engage with other people. You know, man is not a solitary animal, right? We're a pack animal.
All right. Fine. I'll walk over.
Perfect. I'll see you there in 15 minutes.
In my early 20s, there was a certain hopefulness that came with going out. There was grooming, hair products, and when I was especially hopeful, the donning of a going-out shirt. This was nothing more than a shirt that was relatively free of wrinkles and odor, but it felt significant. There was one hopeful night in particular that I remember well. I was at a bar with my friend Alex, a large boy with a large mustache that gave him the affect of a sad walrus. It was in his sad walrus manner that he introduced me to a girl from his film studies class. Alex soon disappeared, and she and I found a table where we sat. As the time passed, it felt like we were building something at that table, as warm as a house made of blankets and pillows. We talked and talked, and though I can no longer recall a word of our conversation, I still remember the atmosphere of her company and how I wanted her to like me, right away and fiercely. I also remember how badly I needed to pee, which, in a misguided attempt at bravado, I told her. "But I'm afraid if I leave the table," I said, "when I come back, it won't be the same." "Let's take that risk," she said. And of course, it wasn't the same. For when I returned, there was Alex, a rum and coke straw shoved under his mustache, like a tusk. So I rode out the rest of the evening, failing to get her number. But even now, as a full-grown adult who has loved and lost, I can say with certainty that there had been the seed of something real there, as much as there's been with relationships that have blossomed into years. We'd like to believe that there's only one person out there for us. It's scarier to think that there are many, and we bump up against them, sometimes getting little more than a hello, sometimes not even as much as that. Sometimes the greatest relationships are only intended to last a few moments, while others are destined to continue on and on.
Finally!
Hey, Josh.
His lordship graces us with his presence.
I got here as fast as I could.
Is that a bathrobe tucked into your pants? You could have at least changed.
Look, I'm here, aren't I?
Cheers.
So I lived in New York for 9 years as a practicing Mormon. And, I would go out to bars, I would try to meet guys, but I was also Mormon. And, because I didn't believe in sex before marriage, the longest relationship I was ever able to sustain was 4 weeks. And that's only because the guy was out of town for 2 of those weeks.
So as a Mormon in the dating world, you're not allowed doing anything in the ballpark of sex?
Nothing. You can kiss sitting up, which, if you're dating another Mormon, isn't really an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But then I fell in love with an atheist, and I really liked him, and he really liked me too. So, after a few weeks, eventually, the whole notion of sex became a bit of an issue.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, as a Mormon, I don't believe in sex before marriage. And he was like, well, as a guy, I don't believe in that. So we broke up. And I was devastated. I was so sad, and I really felt like I gave up the person that I felt like I was waiting my whole life for my religion. And then I kind of got angry, too. Like, why would God make me do this? And so in this very angry place, I prayed, and I said, God, you need to bring me the Mormon love of my life, and you need to do it right now. And then the following Sunday at church, I got a flyer for the New York Regional Mormon Singles Halloween Dance, which is this church dance for all the Mormons in the tri-state area. And I saw the flyer, and I was like, okay, this is it. This is a sign. I'm going to go to this dance, and I'm going to meet the one. But, in order to do that, I have to obviously have the best costume ever. So I started brainstorming, and it kind of hit me in this flash of light. I was like, oh, okay, yes. I'm going to dress as a fortune cookie.
As a fortune cookie?
Yeah, a giant fortune cookie. Like a full-body fortune cookie. And when you pull out the fortune, it'll say, you will meet a beautiful woman tonight.
That's clever.
Yeah, and at which point I'd be like, look no further. So I spent, I think, 2 days building this costume. And I bought a beige mattress pad and folded it in half and hot glue gunned it and put wire through it. And then I made the fortune part retractable and wrote 50 different fortunes. I was casting a wide net.
Oh, that's smart.
So they would pull out the fortune and they could keep it.
Uh-huh.
So the day of the dance, I put on my fortune cookie costume. I take the NR, and then I had to transfer to the 1-2 train.
Mm-hmm.
The second I step onto the car, from across the car, I hear this voice shriek out, and this woman is like, oh, no, 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 no. I start looking around, as you do when some commotion happens on the subway, to try to figure out what she's upset by.
Yeah.
And then she starts pointing directly at me, and she's like, no, 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 I got my children with me. I got my children with me.
And she's pointing at you.
At me. And then, the doors open, and I step off the train, and I'm walking to the dance, so confused, and I just keep thinking, maybe she had a bad experience with Chinese food. And so I walk into the church dance, and, I press the elevator button, and I'm just about to go upstairs to this dance when I turn to my right, and I happen to glance in this full-length mirror, and I just stop, and I'm like, oh, no. I didn't look like a fortune cookie at all. I looked like a giant vagina.
What?
Because something had happened to my costume in the wearing of it. That the center had begun to fold in on itself. Then it was all flesh-toned, and it sort of shaped around my head so that I looked like a head coming out of a giant vagina. The funny thing is, I don't think I could have made a better vagina costume, if I had tried. And, so I had this moment of crisis in the lobby where I was like, oh, no, do I go? Do I leave? You can't go to a Mormon dance dressed as a giant vagina. So I found my sister was up there, so she found me. She borrowed a poncho from someone, but at that point I just felt like such a failure. And there's such a specific feeling when you realize you've been trying too hard, and that you went so far out of your way to have this experience or feeling, and so I just sort of I left, but I also felt like in that moment it was like something, the bubble was popped. And I think after that I stopped trying so hard to fit into that world or meet a Mormon, and eventually stopped being Mormon.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
That's a whole other story.
If you had a choice to be able to witness just as a fly on the wall, one moment of your life, either your first moment on Earth when you were first born, or the very last minute before you die, which would you be more curious about?
My last minute.
Why, Mom?
Because I didn't do anything in the first minute. I was just a little baby.
It would be kind of cool, though, no, to see yourself being born?
Ugh, I don't want to see myself being born. I don't know why people want to be in a delivery room.
What about you, Dad?
First moment.
Why?
Because I want to see what it was like when I was born, what my mother thought, what was my father's reaction at that minute. You know, there are a lot of things I'd like to see that I probably don't remember.
That you probably don't remember?
Well, which I don't remember.
And that intrigues you more than imagining being.
Yeah, I don't want to think about my mortality in the end. I want to think about the birth, the beginning.
But you feel differently, Mom.
I think so.
Dad, would you want to see Mom's first minute?
Yeah, she's
You're
so
lying,
cute. I'd like to see what she's a little baby coming out.
Come on, Buzz. What the hell do you care?
I do.
Please.
I care about every second of your life.
Stop it. You're a liar.
Yeah.
I don't even care about it. Why should you?
Oh, you must have been a beautiful little baby.
They say I was.
Yeah.
How did we make you? Well, we were going through this period where I was out of work and nothing much was going on in my life. I'd watch a lot of TV, smoke weed. Your mother had a part-time job at this pet store a few blocks away, and when she came home she always smelled of fish food, those colorful flakes. She knew I didn't care for it, so whenever she came home she'd dump her clothes in the laundry and shower. Well, it was while she was showering that I needed to use the bathroom. So I went into the bathroom, which was unlocked, and sat down on the toilet to do my business. You see, we were used to each other, your mother and I, and could do these kinds of things. You know, I would suggest seeing if you can do these kinds of things with a woman from the get-go, and taking it from there. But I was doing my business, and she was showering. She turned off the water and stuck her hand out from behind the curtain to ask for a towel. I gave her one, and as she dried herself off, she said, "Today in the pet store I had this funny thought. You and I have a baby waiting for us in paradise that we just haven't claimed." Isn't that a pretty thought? And then I said, "Well, we should get on that." She came out of the shower, naked and beautiful, her long hair wrapped in that towel, and she smiled at me. That was a long time ago, before things fell apart. I guess we never got to make you. I don't even know who's asking. I don't even know who I'm talking to. Who am I talking
Hello.
Johnny, it's the moment you've been waiting for.
Oh, hey, Gregor.
It's the moment you've been wishing and hoping and praying for all your miserable life.
What moment is that?
What is the highest possible show business honor I could get for you?
I don't know.
I don't mean a star on the Walk of Fame, something that's not going to happen, or an Oscar, an Emmy, a Tony, a Grammy. I'm talking about for you. What level could you get to?
Well, I mean...
I've been to every poutinerie in Casse-Croûte in Montreal trying to find a deli that would name a sandwich after you, like the Melton Burl, which is like coleslaw and a pastrami sandwich or whatever.
So you're trying to get a sandwich named after me?
An honor that you were worthy of.
Well, thank you.
Something with a lot of mayonnaise.
I mean, I don't know about mayonnaise because of my cholesterol issues, but I mean, in principle,
you don't have to eat the mayonnaise. You're not the sandwich. It's just named in your honor.
Well, I mean, if it's going to be my sandwich, it should, illuminate certain aspects of my...
Okay, here we go. Everything's difficult with
Well,
you.
no,
The problem that I've been having, to be honest with you, is I'm having a really hard time finding any takers.
What do you mean?
I started out thinking I'll get smoked meat sandwiches or some classic Montreal Jewish thing, like bagel and cream cheese and lox, bagel cream cheese lox with like a cornichon.
Right.
I think it's a little closer to your character. Salty, a little pickled, a little peppered. I went 2-3 places. None of them knew who you were. None of them had ever heard of your show, and it was a little embarrassing for me personally. Anyway, all the delis I went to were just like, get out of here.
But then I started thinking, what says a taste of November better than ice cream? It's a natural fit. We can name an ice cream after you.
You know, like how Ben & Jerry's did that Cherry Garcia?
Right.
Something like, that says something about who you are, like cat urine crunch that has like little crunchy lactate tabs.
Yeah.
So you're like, I'm lactose intolerant. I'm going to have an ice cream with lactose pills in it. That way, when the churning and the diarrhea stops, it stops before it starts.
Okay, all right,
so
enough.
Eating ice cream becomes a totally neutral experience. You see
That's
what I'm
a real
saying?
selling point.
Right. I go to a couple ice cream shops. And I'm like, hey, can I have a double chocolate cone? By the way, this is delicious. Have you ever considered naming an ice cream after local celebrity Jonathan Goldstein? And they all gave me the same reaction. Who's that? Never heard of him. Except one guy who's like, I heard that guy, I hate him. I can't believe they gave him a radio show. So then...
that's a little harsh.
Yeah, he was harsh. I'm not saying he wasn't. You'd think a guy who works in an ice cream shop and dispenses sweets and treats would be a little kinder. So
I'm faulting you for repeating that to me.
I don't make the news. I just report it. So I said to him, well, what would it take to get Johnny's name up on your board, even in some format? He came up with what I think is a really great idea.
Oh, yeah?
He says periodically, his freezers go down and the ice cream melts, and they get this runny gunk that they can't sell. Still ice cream. All the great ingredients you know and love.
I think I get where you're going with
Normally,
this.
of course, he would just hose it down in the alley, flush it down the toilet, do whatever. Get rid of it. Can't sell it. Just a sticky, gooey, gunky mess
I get
of
it.
gunk. Well, guess what?
What?
Turns out this fella's Jewish, and he speaks Yiddish. And he says it makes him want to throw up, which in Yiddish is Bech. So I say, why don't we call it Johnny Bechstein?
That's going to be my tribute.
It's a fun word. Kids love to say it. Bech. I bech. It means I vomit.
Johnny Bechstein.
Yeah. Like, hey, do you have any of that Bechstein? I love the Bechstein, especially when some sprinkles are mixed in and it turns into a rainbow of Bech.
You're really serious about this?
Bech is back in a big way, or at least it's going to be come summer.
This isn't going to be a bestseller in February when only mental patients and convicts eat ice cream. This is going to be hot in August. Because the hotter it gets, the more Bech comes running out the bottom of the fridge.
On Wiretap today, you heard Joshua Carpati, Buzz and Dinah Goldstein, Elna Baker, Joseph Keckler, and Gregor Ehrlich. You also heard I Never Want to Walk on the Moon by B.J. Novak from his 2014 book, One More Thing. The story was used with permission from Penguin Random House Audio. Visit randomhouseaudio.com to purchase the full audio book. Wiretap is produced by Mira Birdwin-Tonic, Crystal Duhame, and me, Jonathan Goldstein. Tune into Wiretap Saturdays at 3:30 and Thursday evenings at 11:30. You can also hear Wiretap across North America on Sirius XM. Or to subscribe to the free podcast, visit cbc.ca/wiretap, where you can also download the latest Wiretap ringtone.
Do it. Do the job. Do the job. Do it.
Inspiration to do the job, whatever that job may be, with every ring of your phone.